Today on Singles Court, G wants Sissy to bear it all for her new CD cover.
I want to take her career to the next level.
What level would that be?
Well,
down?
you see,
But she thinks the nude is rude and wants to know what's up, G.
He does not have a problem.
all right, I would not exploit you unnecessarily,
Oh,
okay?
well, come on.
Okay.
And Nancy's lion lover has a fetish for feet.
Your feet are beautiful.
No, let me talk about the pedicure.
You have beautiful feet.
She wants to bring him to heel for false advertising.
He's different than what he told me that he was.
I did not lie in my
But we
advertising.
take these, I mean, I take it seriously.
Don't you think she's taking it a little too seriously for a one-drink cake?
It's not.
Well, hello there, and welcome to Singles Court, the #1 show on the Singles Broadcast Network. And there's a very good reason why. It's the young lady right there to my left, relationship mediator Angela Siegel.
Hi, Michael.
Good day. How are you, my
I just
dear?
got back from the singles luncheon, and I tell you, people are really hooking up. They hook up over cheesecake. They hook up over lasagna. I love it.
But how solid is a relationship based on cheesecake?
Hey, it's a good place to start.
Okay. Well, let's get started here today. In the studio, we have Sissy and her boyfriend, G. That's simply G, nothing else. G is a record producer and Sissy is a singer, so the two met in a club a while ago and hit it off, both on a business level and on a relationship level as well. They're working towards Sissy's upcoming CD, and I'll let them explain it a little more because it has a few hooks and catches to it. It's called The Case of Naked Ambition, or It's a G-String Thing.
Okay. Well, Sissy, it sounds like you're embarking on a musical career. Tell me about what's going on.
I am. Ever since I was 12 years old, I always wanted to be a singer. Always. I mean, I sang at the church. I sang gospel. I've been singing R&B. My mother told me I had an incredible voice, and I do. I've been working the clubs for the last 2 years, and that's when I met G. I was singing at the club, and G was sitting in the audience. And after my show was done, he came and he introduced himself to me.
As a record producer.
Yes, as a record producer. And we talked. I mean, he said he could help me out, he could build my career, and that's where it all started.
Well, how did the relationship come into play that you all became intimate?
Well, you know, he was my producer, my manager, and we just fell in love. It was just a natural progression of things. We fell in love, and he was guiding me. He was directing my career. I trusted G.
Okay,
I trusted him.
What's the problem? It sounds like trusted is past tense.
Well, you know what? He thinks that in order for me to build my career, I have to pose nude. He came to me with this proposition that if I take off all my clothes and pose nude, and he wants to put this on my CD cover and splash it all over the world for my family to see.
All right, it's like this, right?
Yeah, please explain
tell
it
us
to
what
me.
it's like, G.
Thank you. All right.
I mean, what kind of music do you sing?
All right,
R&B. R&B.
Okay, so R&B
Yeah.
with a nude person on the cover?
Okay, no.
I mean, that's not unheard of.
It's R and booty.
All right.
Michael.
I've been in the music business now for at least 8 to 10 years, all right?
Okay.
And I've worked with many different artists. I've seen them come and go. And the thing is, when I first met Sissy, right, I was like, she could definitely sing. She's got talent, she's got presence, you know what I mean? But it's like, I want to take her career to the next level.
What level would that be?
Well,
down?
you see, what we've got to do in the music industry is you've got to create a buzz, you've got to create a noise. I mean, and the thing is, like, people want to see skin with their ladies. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you could check out Madonna.
Music, G, not the kind of music I'm singing,
Check
G.
out, we've got Madonna, all right? Destiny's Child.
I'm not any of those.
Even the
Of
men,
course.
D'Angelo playing naked.
Of course,
you know
the
what
list
I'm saying?
goes. Hey, I'm
That's
feeling
not
you.
me. That's
the
not
list
me.
goes. Do you hear what she's saying? The list goes on. What she's saying to you is, I don't want to do that. So, as her boyfriend and her producer, I would think that you would have some respect for her wishes.
I can't believe you want to expose me like that. He does not have a problem
All right, I
seeing
would
this woman.
I would not exploit you unnecessarily,
Oh, come on.
okay?
Well, come on,
Okay,
G.
explain to me the motivation, because I would not exploit you unnecessarily. That's very interesting. Explain that to me.
Yeah, explain that to me, too.
All right, my point is, right, is like I was saying, you've got all these artists right now who are selling the big records,
Well,
okay?
okay, we're not talking about them. We're talking about your
that's right.
But
girlfriend.
if you want to compete these days in the business,
You gotta show your
you've got
booty?
to. Well, you've got to at least be able to compete on the same level. You know what I'm saying?
You know, that's the whole problem with this. He doesn't
I've
listen
been paying
to
the
me.
bills, all right? I've been paying for
What?
everything.
My
the
music
recording,
hasn't been paying any bills.
I've been paying for the
Wait a minute,
remixing.
Sissy, I have a question. I have a question. Obviously, you're adamantly opposed to posing nude.
I am.
Why don't you get yourself another producer?
I love him. I love him. We have been together. I love him. I trust him. You know, it's not as though I'm not grateful for what he's done. Oh,
I'm trying to understand this.
I am grateful.
1 minute you're sitting there with this boo-hooing because he wants you to pose nude.
Yeah.
Then when I said, well, do what most people would do, which is find another producer, you start whining like a little baby pig. I love him.
I love him. It's true. I do love him. You know, I've trusted him, and I'm grateful for everything that he's done for me.
So you know what then? Take your clothes off. What do you want me to do?
Exactly.
What do you want me to do?
You can't see me like that, G. It's not that easy.
What does your family know about the music business,
You know what he wants me to wear?
Her family listens to Willie
You know
Nelson.
what he wants me to wear?
You know what I mean? They know
A
nothing
dog collar,
about the music these
a
days.
leather thong.
Back to my point.
Leather bra.
Back to my point.
I can't dress like that. My family's going to see me. That's
Back
not
to
how I want my career to go.
To my point. It's your career.
Yes.
And that's supposed to be your boyfriend.
Yes.
Obviously, you don't know how to separate the two. So my question to you is, which do you want better? Which do you want more? I love him or your career?
I want my career, but I want G too.
Well, you know
I love him.
G, is there any way she can be under your label and not show her booty?
The thing about it is any record producer these days is going to tell you that it takes
So the answer is
sex
no.
sells.
So the answer is no, right?
See, the point is these photos were only going to be for the private use of the executives, all right?
Private
What
use,
use would
G.
that be?
Look at this. You didn't know I had this, did you? Look at this. You had every intention of showing my body. Look at that.
You've got to create a noise,
you
all right?
had every intention
That was
of
only
showing my
supposed to
body.
be for the record.
He lied to me.
You know what? Really, your whining is really getting on my nerves. It really is. I'm serious.
You two are creating a lot of noise right now.
And everything
He
but a
lied to
record.
me.
But you know what? What I'm looking at is I see some information about magazines and calendars. What's up with that? I'm not going to ask you. What's up with that, G?
All right, well, like, I was in the talks with this magazine.
You was in the talks.
Okay, hold on a second now, all right? I was in the talks with this magazine, and they run a very respectable music section in their magazine.
Of course.
Respectable.
All right?
Leather and lace.
They were going to
Leather
feature
and lace,
Sissy.
right, G?
They were going to
Sissy.
feature Sissy, all right? And I mean, and on top of that, it's going to like, it will be more money for us to put towards the project.
So why don't you just give me in layman's terms, what is it that you're doing? Are you using her pictures for a magazine?
That's what I'd like to know.
Well, I was just getting estimates for this magazine.
Just getting estimates.
Okay, and what were you intending on doing with that?
Yeah.
Well, we had been in the talks like to sell it, you know. I was going to sell
Sell
some
what?
of the
In the talks.
Well, some of the pictures that we were going to do, the more tasteful ones, you know what I'm saying?
never spoke
We were
to
gonna
me
sell to
about
the
that.
magazine.
Okay,
The point is I know the
had
direction
it with
that
you,
we've
G.
got to take, all right?
I've had
this-
it with this man. He
You
lied to
say,
me.
you know what? You keep saying that, but you're still standing there, and I bet you when you leave here, you'll be laying in the bed with him tonight. So you're sitting there talking a bunch of smack. Tell somebody else that, but not this girlfriend, because I know. Been there, done that, heard the story. So the bottom line comes down to my question to you. What are you going to do about the fact that he basically doesn't want to produce you unless he can show off your booty?
Well, I'm prepared to do a little soft sexual
Of course
thing,
you are.
But I'm not prepared to take all my clothes off.
Why
That's
not? You're
what
taking off everything else. I'm going to resolution. Goodbye.
I have
Take your
talent.
record off.
I have talent. I can sing. I'm good at what I do. I am good.
This case is pretty simple. It's about choices. G, you decided that the only way Sissy could compete would be if she were naked. So you decided that her body was at least as important as her voice, if not more important. Personally, I am sort of suspicious in terms of your relationship as far as how you feel about her as a girlfriend, because we didn't really make that too clear, but it's obvious. I mean, I think you're very honest about how you feel about her as a producer. Sissy, you on the other hand, if you whine half as good as you sing, you ought to have a Grammy in your future, because you definitely have your whine on. Everything is everybody else's issue with you. Everybody else is having you do this, and everybody else is having you do that, and you're not willing to accept it as being your own choice. Ultimately, it's your own choice. When relationships and careers are intertwined, there has to be a common goal. And in this case, you all had a common goal. It was Sissy's career. The thing is, you both had different ideas of how to get there. You felt like the nude route was a good route. You told him no, but your no really meant maybe. You weren't very firm in your no, and I think as a man, he knew that if he pushed you a little bit more, eventually you'd say yes. One thing I caution you, when you make these kinds of decisions in relationships and in your career, you have to look at the fact that it's something you have to live with. And if you're willing to sell out and do something that you know you don't want to do, just because of the hope that one day you may have a career, you may end up with a big goose egg on both ends. No relationship and no career. And that's that in black and white.
Next on Singles Court, Nancy's lion lover has a fetish for feet.
Your feet are beautiful.
No, let me talk about the pedicure.
You have beautiful feet.
She wants to bring him to heel for false advertising.
I did not lie in my advertising.
But we take these, I mean, I take it seriously.
Don't you think she's taking a little too seriously for a one-drink date?
It's not. No,
we just went out for a drink.
Welcome back to Singles Court on the Singles Broadcast Network with relationship mediator Angela Siegel.
Every time we come back, you get a little chippier.
Well, you know, you got to let people know and
what's in that cup?
Get them all fired up. Nothing that concerns you.
Okay.
Oh, we got a show to do. Yes, in the studio we have Nancy and Greg. Nancy works in a doctor's office and Greg is the foreman at a manufacturing plant. Now, the problem comes up here when the two sort of answered an ad that was placed in the newspaper, you know, one of those personal ads. I know nothing about them. I never deal with that sort of stuff. But anyhow, I'll let them explain their case, but I call it the case of sex, lies, and advertise.
Well, Nancy, you seem to be pretty steamed about some misleading words. Tell me what happened.
Well, I have been advertising in personal ads for about 3 months, and every time, I've probably advertised about 6 or 7 times, and every time, I am not kidding, every time I go meet the guy that has phoned me to set this up after he's read my ad, he tells me, he tells me one thing about himself, and I arrive at the restaurant or at the coffee shop, and he's a completely different human being than he says he is over the phone.
Well, I mean, but that's not unusual, Nancy.
You know, he says he's really, really tall and he's really, really short, or
everybody
he's really,
knows
really
when you do this, you're taking
really
a chance,
fat.
you know, Nancy? You always take a chance. You know, you've got to make yourself compelling. If you don't cover yourself in honey, no bees will show up.
But, well, one problem, Greg. If the honey is the wrong kind of honey and the bees that show up were not the bees that were intended, then that's the problem.
Yeah, but everybody plays the same game, you know.
And what game would that be?
The game
Listen,
is...
I think that it's fair enough to ask, you know, to sell yourself as who you are. I mean, I don't care who you are as long as you're honest with me.
You're putting
she has a point. I mean, if you think about it, for instance, let's say for the sake of argument that you said you had long blonde hair. That would not be true.
I did not lie in my advertising.
But we take these, I mean, I take it seriously.
Don't you think she's taking a little too seriously for a one-drink date?
It's not.
No,
we just went out for a drink.
No, you don't take it too seriously because you invest. You invest a lot. You invest of yourself and your time, but you also invest money.
Well,
I mean,
he does have a
invest
point.
A fortune.
Okay, but he has a point. Now you know, and everybody knows we're in this business that when you look at them, you take it with a grain of salt because that's their perception of how they think they are.
But what about the investment that you make?
What investment would that be?
Well,
the cost of the ad, which is all
the
$20.
cost of the ad, which is expensive. You want to take. I mean, the only thing you have is your person, what you look like. So you get your.
Really, that's the only thing you have?
No, but when you meet somebody, the first impression is really important. So
so
you take care with your hair. You spend a fortune on hair. You spend a fortune on perhaps a new outfit, which I did, and. A manicure and a pedicure, and
Nancy, let's think about this. Now, I'm sorry, you just have to realize that you're trying to make it sound like just because you had one date, you got a pedicure, what was the first one in your life? You got your nails done the first time in your life. You bought an outfit for the first time in your life. Those are all things that you should have been doing anyway.
But one does. But one actually wants to be sort of a fresh human being and appear to be.
Can I say something?
Wait a second. You know, I thought maybe if he was going to come back, maybe if we enjoyed each other's company, he would come back and have a drink.
But Nancy, if
it
ends up not being the love of your life, what are you out? You have a new outfit, some fresh toes, and a better looking face.
Fair enough.
In
but
the
it's
conversation.
really just,
whoa.
It's disappointing.
You know what? I would have liked you anyway. You
life.
looked great when you came into that room. But I would have liked you anyway, you know?
But here's my issue. Because obviously she's upset with you. You all aren't together. She brought you here because she thinks you owe her an apology.
But why do I owe her an apology? You know what? By the way, I loved her pedicure. I thought that was great. Your feet are beautiful.
No, let me talk about the pedicure.
You have beautiful feet.
I go to a restaurant, I'm looking for intelligent conversation, and what I get is a guy who has his shoes off, and he's feeling up my feet with his sock feet under the table for the entire night.
Why were you doing that, Greg?
Whoa, listen to me, listen to me. Let me... I'm getting pissed off with your hypocrisy. Okay, Nancy, listen to this. This is your ad, okay? This is how hypocritical she is. Dig this. Young, subtle, non-smoking filly seeks stable boy who will worship her horseshoes. Looking for fun, looking for frolic, looking for greener pastures with a jockey who knows how to ride. Drug and disease-free. Is this your number, 3675?
This is my number, but this is not the ad that I wrote. Yes, I am drug and disease-free, but I did not
I called.
Wait a minute. This is confusing even to me. So apparently, you had an ad, that ad you just read was for somebody who wanted a jockey?
I thought it was her. This is the number I called. And
I missed something.
I called this number, and apparently that was the woman that wanted the date, and she's the one who answered the phone, and then we met.
I would not put an ad like that. My ad in the paper was an elegant professional woman seeks comfortable, interesting conversation over dinner. I mean, it's something like that.
So
it was
basically
not
what you're
foot
telling
fetish ad.
So what you're telling me is the two of you hooked up by accident.
It seems that way, but you know what? What's wrong with a foot fetish? Lots of people have foot fetishes.
This is not foot court.
It's disgusting.
We're not going to pass judgment on your ad.
Let me read you my ad.
Excuse
me. Let me read you my ad. Okay,
Please
this is my ad. Bald, bold, and brawny Lion King, looking for fun in all the right places.
You're not brawny. I would say you're not brawny.
Okay.
Bald,
So I told you I had to try to make myself compelling.
Brawny, no.
Pin me down under your high heels, and I'll turn into your kitten. That's my ad.
You know what?
I'm honest.
I'm missing something here because obviously you got it mixed up. The ads got mixed up. You represented yourself pretty much the way you are. You feel you represented yourself the way you are. You two are mad at each other. I guess the issue comes down to me, Nancy. You sound so bitter. Yeah, and you're not this, and you're not. I mean, it's a date. He's not supposed to be the father of your children.
I'm not looking for the father of my children.
That was my point.
I'm looking for. I have nothing against baldness, but it irritates me to have, I mean, I'm not saying that he's not sexy or attractive. I'm saying he's different than what he told me that he was. But it turns out that's not even true either.
You know, it seems to me you should have took the foot massage and run, because you usually don't get one of those on the first date. Well, I don't.
Michael.
Are you one of us?
I'm just looking for some honesty, and it's very disappointing and frustrating.
Okay, I understand.
Get, you know,
I feel your disappointment. I feel your frustration. However, it was a mistake. So at least give him a break.
Okay,
in terms of at least finding out if you do have anything in common. Besides, he has a foot fetish and you don't. I mean, perhaps there's other things. Did you ever think of that?
Fair enough. Foot fetish, fair enough. It's just
Besides,
not my
a lot of women find bald men sexy.
Style. I didn't say that you were not sexy. I said that you were not what I had, what I was.
It was a date.
Yes, it was, but it's unfair. And people are vulnerable. People go to a lot of expense, and
you know what?
And they're not getting what they think they're getting, and that's wrong. I think people should be honest.
You have way too much time on your hands, girlfriend, and you need to go get another pedicure, get a facial and a massage. I'll be back with my resolution. Sometimes, you know, we're our own worst enemy when it comes to meeting new people. Greg, I feel as though you were honest. I mean, you said exactly what it is that you were looking for and pretty close to who you are in your ad. The problem here is that it was a mistake. I mean, what else can you say? It was a mistake. I don't see really any issue with anything that you said here. I think you understand very well it's a numbers game, and yet you meet enough people, eventually you'll meet someone who has the same desires that you have. As far as your fetish is concerned, that's your business. You know, I don't think that that really has anything to do with what we talk about here at Singles Court. You know, Nancy, when I look at you, I mean, it's no wonder that you had several dates and none of them worked out. Just as I said before, it is a numbers game, but a lot of it has to do with you and the attitude that you bring to the date. Your attitude was one that you already expected the disappointment before you even got there, and my guess is that most of your dates were probably over before the appetizer came. You have to take some of that responsibility on yourself. You know, when people meet as single adults, it's really difficult, especially when it's in a blind date situation. because each person has the responsibility of trying to present themselves in the best light. But the other person also has the responsibility of weighing the evidence and saying if in fact there's chemistry. I would say to both of you, keep dating, keep meeting new people, because obviously that's going to bring you closer to the goal that you're looking for, which is to find someone that you can share your life. Nancy, I would say to you that disappointment is something that does happen. It happens to everybody in life. But the problem is when you start out a disappointment, unfortunately it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You decide if you want to start a disappointment or have the occasional disappointment. It's up to you. And that's that in black and white.
Well, there it is. When it comes to relationships, I mean, if you're not feeling it, you shouldn't be peeling it. That's on and off the record. And some people just aren't right for each other, especially if their type is a typo. Join us next time here at Singles Court, the final word for singles.